Yo, what's going on guys? Arekkz here, welcome back to another Destiny 2 Forsaken video, and today we are talking about something pretty damn exciting. The curse in the Dreaming City continues to spread, there are taken orbs all over the place, and the mysteries continue to grow. However, something special has also been made available. Our very first dungeon. This is a quest that is available if you make your way down to the Confluence. The quest is called the Shattered Throne, and it will see you enter Morozov's throne world and work your way through a pretty tough dungeon. Dungeons are different to strikes. This is something new to Destiny, and it's definitely a good challenge. In fact, towards the end of the dungeon, the enemies are 590 power level, so we're talking raid tier difficulty, but completing it will net you some pretty powerful gear. So in this video, I'm going to go over everything you need to know. So if you do find this helpful and you do enjoy this video, then a like would be super appreciated, and be sure to comment down below and let me know if you guys have any questions. Now, first things first, you don't need to collect anything from Petrovenge, nor do you have to have completed any previous quests. For this, you simply need to make your way to the Confluence. The easiest way to do that is to go through the room with the Ahamkara skulls that trade you the items, like the Tincture of Queensfoil. I'll let the route play out in the background, but it's essentially over to the northwest of the map. You work your way through the underground part of the city, down the elevator shaft, and when you enter this room, take a right and go down the corridor and through the portal. Once you're through, follow the corridors all the way to the Confluence, and if you look down through one of the doors, you'll see a giant portal. This is where you want to go. Approaching the portal, you'll see the quest for the Shattered Throne. Once you begin this mission, you'll be taken into Morozov's throne world, and this marks the beginning of the dungeon. The first part is pretty self-explanatory. It's just a series of jumping platforms. The path is pretty linear, so work forwards through the door, continue going until you encounter the first group of enemies. This area you're entering now is the Labyrinth, or at least that's what I'm calling it, because some of the enemies you fight also have Labyrinth in their name. Essentially, you'll kill the ads and then a special elite enemy called a Labyrinth Architect. Once you clear the ads, a symbol will spawn like the ones you see in the raid. Now, since I've only done this mission once, I'm unsure at this stage if these are fixed or random, but in truth that doesn't matter. Listed around the map are these symbols, so when you kill an Architect and you see this symbol, that's essentially the next location you need to go to. So head over to where the eagle is, in this case, and then you'll find your next group of ads with another Architect. Every time you clear the ads, a new symbol will spawn, and that'll then tell you where you need to go next. So as you can see here, we found the bird room, and then our next symbol were the two fish swimming. So we head off to find them. Naturally, this bit will have you exploring a little bit, hence the labyrinth description, but that's essentially what you're doing. Clear the ads, read the symbol, go and find that location, and clear the next set of ads. Read the new symbol, find that new location, and keep repeating this process. You'll do this about 5 or 6 times until eventually your final symbol will lead you back to the main room where you first entered at this point. The floor will open up and that'll lead you to the next area. Also at this point you'll get a loot drop, and this will typically be a powerful gear item, so chances are it'll be an upgrade for you. Dropping down the hole, you'll then work through the descent. This part is pretty straightforward, it's a long way down, but the path is pretty linear. There are lots of enemies, hobgoblins to snipe you, phalanxes to knock you off, but you want to follow the path down and then follow the stairs back up. You'll then begin working your way through a walkway. There'll be enemies on either side, so take your time, use cover, and take them out as you go. When you get through here, you'll then get to an area with a load of beams. I'd recommend having 2 people stay behind and 1 person go out to bait the spawns. Taken ogres will spawn as you cross the platform, so take them out fast. If you're hit by them, you'll get knocked off the beams. There'll also be taken orbs that spawn to block some of the pathways. In this room, you simply need to get to the end, but I'd recommend taking it slow so as to avoid getting knocked off. Once you get through here, you'll then walk through this field and you'll get the slowed debuff. In here you can't double jump, so it's simply a case of moving through, taking care of the taken thrall. There'll be lots of them and they'll easily overrun you, but they die pretty fast. So move through here until you get to the other side and jump through the field. Once you're through here, you leave the debuff behind, cross over the platforms, continue working through the dungeon, up to the next building, past the enemies, and then you find yourself before the first boss. This is the point where power level is going to matter. If you're below 570, you're going to have a really tough time. Even at 570, it's going to be hard. I went in this at 568, and then one of my team was 575, the other was 585, but either way, the enemies hit hard. Anyway, that aside, in the middle of the room is a giant taken ogre with a shield, and then around him are 4 plates. Then at the 4 sides of the room, there are wizards called Keepers of Petitions. When you kill them, they drop an orb, and when you pick up that orb, you get a buff called Petitioner's Mark, and it'll have a timer next to it. Picking up the orb gives the buff to your entire team, but if the timer hits 0, you'll die. Every wizard drops this, and the buff can be stacked. Every time you pick up a new orb, it resets the timer. When you've picked up the 4th orb, that buff will instead say Petitioner's Burden, and you'll then be able to take that to one of the 4 plates, dunk the orb, and that'll then drop the shield on the ogre, allowing you to do damage. The ogre also fires Axion bolts, and they hurt a lot, so be sure to keep on top of them, and during the damage phase, Taken Minotaurs will also spawn to try and mess with you. There are relics that spawn, which you can then throw between one another to power them up, and then throw them at the boss to deal direct damage, but for us, it didn't really make much sense, since our whisper damage essentially outperformed these, so it's probably one of those things that you can use if your damage is a bit lacking. After a while, his shield will go back up, and you then repeat the phase. Now, what I would recommend is that if you go around the room initially killing all the adds except the wizards, especially if you're low power level, since there's a timer anytime you pick up the buffs, that way it's much easier to clear all the adds, and then do a second pass afterwards killing just the wizards. Keep in mind this is not a raid boss, so you don't have to worry about an enrage mechanic, so you can afford to take it as slow as you want. Either way, repeat that until the boss is dead, and then you can move on. Moving into the next room, you'll then be able to make an offering, and following that, you'll then be able to proceed to the final part of the dungeon, and the final boss. You've got another few jumping puzzles to navigate, some lifts to go up, but it's pretty straightforward, pretty linear, get to the very top, and then you're at the final boss, Dalinkaru, the Eternal Return. This is a wizard boss, but there's also another shield mechanic here, so this is how it works. In the middle of the room are 3 Ascendant Knights, the big boys with the axes that hit hard. Killing them will see them drop an orb, which again gives you a buff, Finite Thought, and you can only do damage to the boss when you have this buff. It too has a timer, and if that timer hits 0, you die. But in the middle of the room is a pedestal, and when it glows blue, you can jump on it to remove the buff, sort of like cleansing in the Vault of Gloss. Amidst the fight, adds will spawn, so you'll need to deal with them, and after a period of time, the knights will get immune shields. And in order to take that down, there will be a big crystal that spawns behind the wizard, shoot that, and it will drop the knight's shields, but upon taking out the crystal, a new wave of adds will spawn. So the way you handle the fight is you begin by clearing the adds, and then you begin focusing down the knights. When you kill one, you pick up the buff, again it applies to your whole team, and then you deal damage to the boss. We found putting a well underneath it and using shotguns was pretty effective, as was using the whisper to snipe it, but either way, keep an eye out for the roaming knights because they will take you out in one hit. When your buff gets low, you cleanse it. Keep in mind you want to do it as a team since the well can deactivate, but then you repeat this process until the boss is dead. Take out the adds, kill the knights. If the knight gets a shield, take out the crystal, kill more adds, then take out the knights again, pick up the buff, damage the boss, rinse and repeat. Do that correctly and you will complete the dungeon, netting yourself another piece of powerful gear and a pretty good upgrade. But that, my friends, is pretty much it. That's how you complete Destiny's first ever dungeon. Whether there'll be more of these, we don't yet know. I really hope so, but for now, this is definitely something to check out. It's definitely an awesome new addition, and I had a lot of fun working through it. It's kind of like a mini 3-man raid to a certain degree. Any more questions, let me know down below, but otherwise be sure to keep it locked for much more Destiny 2 content. Thanks very much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to check out some more awesome stuff from us here at Arekkz Gaming, then you should definitely try to catch 269 and Paradise Central streaming 6 days a week. You can find a link to the multi-stream in the description box down below. They play a wide range of games, and what's more, we also have the Endgame store. By watching their streams, you earn currency, and you can redeem that currency on the Endgame store for really cool prizes. Those can range from things like games, comics, and figures, all the way up to controllers, capture cards, and even consoles. So definitely drop by and become part of the community. Of course, if you enjoyed this video, then make sure you're subscribed and be sure to click on that little bell icon to turn on notifications so you don't miss our next upload. You can watch more videos by clicking on the options here, but once again, thanks very much for watching, take it easy, catch you next time, peace out.